Welcome back to Shine, the Yoga for the People podcast. We want to give a trigger warning on this episode. We're going to be talking about death
and dying and bereavement.
And yeah.
So if that's a hard subject for you, just skip out on this one or don't and learn something if you can to help you heal. Yep. But if not, that's
Take
okay
breaks,
too.
Right. Check in with yourself, do some tapping. Breathing.
Yeah,
Name
absolutely.
5 things you see, 4 things you smell,
or
3 things you
skip
hear.
us and we won't hurt our feelings at all.
Right. So we love you and we understand. So this episode, we're going to talk about the klesha, the last klesha, because we're not going to go in order because we don't have to. Clinging to life. Abhinivesha. Abhinivesa. Clinging to life, which also means the fear of death and a deep sense of anxiety, a broad sense of fear of loss, losing anything to which we are attached, which goes back to things we'll talk about later of attachment and aversion. When we see our present self, our physical body as the self, we cling to this existence. And what happens when everything we do is to avoid physical death? Do we fully experience all that life has to offer?
No.
No,
we don't. So if you are afraid of death, it's going to make you an anxious mess.
Right.
If that's your main fear, deathophobia, I don't even know if that's a real word. Deathophobia is big for people, right? It's probably not the word for it. Just make words up. But it's a big deal, and it is. I mean,
all words are made up.
You're right. You know what? You're right. Okay. So it's a big deal, and it is. Here's what I call death the most individualized, universal experience ever.
It's thanatophobia.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So one of my degrees is well, I'm working on it right now, is thanatology. So there's my credentials right there. And I worked at a funeral home for 2.5 years.
Yay.
No more.
For right now,
yeah. So it's just, it causes anxiety, and it causes a lack of trust in yourself, in the path that you have carved for yourself. Mm-hmm. And it also causes a lack of trust within any spiritual lessons you may have been taught. So I'm going a different path. So I think that, if you do not acknowledge and do not accept death for what it is, your spiritual awareness is going to be much less.
yes.
And it's unfortunate that death has not become more normalized yet.
Right.
We've been dealing with death since the beginning of time.
Right.
Everything has died. Nobody has made it out of this life alive.
Yep.
So
you have gotten through every one of your worst days until the last day.
Right, exactly.
No one's getting out of here alive.
No one. And we are there's so much stigma behind death. And I am so comfortable with death, and I know that a lot of people aren't. So if I talk kind of flippantly about it, it's not that I don't take it seriously. It's that it's something that I'm very well versed in, and I understand the severity and behind death. Okay, I don't want anybody to think that I'm just some death, but death is not something to be afraid of. It's just not. The unknown is something to be afraid of.
Right.
Like you've said.
With all my study and quote unquote knowledge, I want to have the belief that we go on, that our true selves go on, but I'm scared, and it's like I said, the consciousness. I don't know what it's like to not have consciousness. And you've said to me before, well, what happened before you were born?
Right.
Like, when I say, I don't know what it's like to not exist.
Nobody does.
And you said,
Yeah.
but you haven't always existed.
Right.
Like, what happened before 1980?
Damn,
But I didn't know that I didn't exist at that point.
Correct.
And because I didn't exist, or I didn't exist in this form. If we believe that our true self goes on and on, was there another form I was in prior and I just didn't know that?
Right.
And, you know, I've done past life kinds of things. I don't know if what I've seen is real.
Yeah.
But the idea, like for a long time, I wanted to be put in a mausoleum because the idea of being 6 feet under is so claustrophobic to me.
Right.
That, and of course, people have to get all practical. Well, it's expensive to be put in a mausoleum. I know that. But
it also leaks chemicals into our waterways, but.
Oh. Mausoleums,
graves, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be leaking embalming fluid, and they have a drainage system that goes out of the mausoleums into the ground.
but then I can't even contemplate being cremated either because I'm still attached to this physical body.
Right.
And I don't know what it's like to not think, to not have awareness, and it scares me. I get sick to my stomach thinking about dying.
Okay.
And I am fully in my head okay with other people dying. I get sad,
Right.
but I'm okay with it because everybody dies.
That's true. They
But
do.
like,
I've seen it myself.
right. But so just personally, I can sit here and tell you all what yoga philosophy says about death and dying and the true self. But when it comes to how I actually worry as a human, as a soul in a meat sack, it's like I'm getting nauseous right now.
Yeah.
And
It's anxiety provoking.
And I was talking to my mother yesterday, and she's going to be 80. And she said, I was okay with 40. I was okay with 60. I was okay with 70. 80 really bothers me.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that there's other things she wants to accomplish because I love my mother. She doesn't really do a whole lot. Please don't listen to this, Mom. She doesn't anyway. I'm sorry.
Anyway, no, it's so funny because here's the thing. Okay, we look at death as something to avoid,
Yes.
sometimes a challenge.
Yep.
Okay, when you get like adrenaline seekers, you know what I mean?
Like
Stuff
the whole cheating death kind of thing.
Correct. We all look death in the face in different ways. Every day, every single day of our life, death is standing right next to us. Think about it that way.
My sister used to watch Faces of Death. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
She was
I've never watched it, but I've heard of it.
When in high school, she would rent Faces of Death from the video store and watch it. I'm like, ugh.
It's one of those things where you're like, this part of life sucks. However, how can you celebrate birth and not celebrate death? You know, I watched a documentary about a guy who started out by practicing Native American spiritual practices and then ended up being a death doula to people. And that's one of the things he said, which I found, he was like a Chuck Norris, like Walker, Texas Ranger type of guy, but hippie.
Dog the Bounty Hunter?
No.
Okay.
No. He was an older guy, but he like wore feathers and stuff. Like he was part of the Native American community.
Like Willie Nelson.
No. Kind of. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Okay. Death doula Willie Nelson. Sure. Okay. Let's go with that. That's fine. And that's a great way to put it. He said, how can you celebrate birth, but then not celebrate death? And the idea behind that is your time here is done. You have fulfilled your purpose, even if it's tragic, even if it's sudden, even if it sucks and we don't understand why, how, or anything. Why my 47-year-old father died from a heart attack, 10, 12 years ago. And then, but people like who we have in the White House are still alive kicking. Explain that to me. We can't. You know what I'm saying?
Why the one person from Home Alone 2 died, but the other person from Home Alone 2 did not.
Correct. And so we have those questions also, but our soul contracts are done when we're done. As hard as it is to believe especially with tragic and sudden losses, that was what was supposed to happen. And a lot of people don't want to believe that. They
like
don't.
Sean.
Right. Like Sean. Like my uncle. They don't want to believe that a tragic death was supposed to happen. But we don't control that.
Right.
Nobody controls that. We don't control death. And we don't control how long we stay on this earth. Sorry, it's not up to you. You can try all you want. And, like Alanis Morissette, the guy that decided to finally fly on a plane and it crashes, right? Like, you can avoid it all you want and it's going to find you, whether or not, because once your soul contract is done, you're done. And you see that like jokingly, like in cartoons and stuff with death, where it's like, okay, it's time. They unroll the scroll and they're like, you're on the list. And that's so we need to understand.
Final destination.
Right. Exactly. We need to understand that death is a release. It is natural, just as birth is natural, just as everything else in our life, our bodily functions. You fart, you die. I mean, you don't die because you fart, but like you fart, you pee, you poop, whatever, I mean, unless you're like Elvis, but that you know what I'm saying? Like farting is as natural as dying.
Yes.
It is.
Yep.
And regardless of the reason or the cause or whatever, it is. And when people get more comfortable with the idea of death, dying, planning for death, that's when we will see more people less anxious about death. Your fear is the afterwards. I mean, I don't know what's over there, but you practice a spiritual journey. Right. So you're preparing. These are part of your lessons, and it's hard. And holding on to the physical being and the material things and everything that you think is important because you're alive, none of that matters after you're dead. I have cremated millionaires and I have cremated homeless people. Same boxes, same cooler. Nobody is immune. There might be people that are immune too long or feel like they've been here too long, but nobody is immune from it. So why be afraid of it?
Until about a year or so ago, I thought the first line of Ironic was an old man turned and he ate.
Not turned 98?
Yeah.
Old man turned 98.
Yeah.
He won the lottery. I love Alanis Morissette.
Yes.
Get me on some Alanis Morissette for real.
I love Alanis Morissette. I love her as a person. I love that she is open about perinatal mental health.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. She's also God, so that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
According to Jane Silent Bob.
According to Kevin Smith. Yes. What if we really believed that our true selves are eternal? That this is not the end? That when we go to heaven, the Backstreet Boys will be performing Everybody Backstreet's Back. And we will all participate in the dance.
Oh my God.
Have you seen the movie This Is the End?
No.
Okay.
No.
then you don't get that part.
Oh, no, but that's pretty funny. I hope it's New Kids on the Block personally, but
Okay.
that's just a personal preference. Maybe it is.
Maybe it's NKOTBSB.
Oh, that was such a good concert.
It was so expensive. I didn't go. I was so sad.
Oh, I don't know.
I went to the mixtape tour.
I went to that. I've seen him like 7 times though.
Okay.
That's 5, but
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love New Kids on the Block.
No, This Is the End is like a meta movie. Not like meta, like Facebook, like actual what the word meta means. It's celebrities playing themselves, like a fictionalized version of themselves.
Yeah.
And they're all at this Hollywood party when the world ends.
Okay.
And
I'm
so it's
familiar with the
Seth
I've heard of
Rogen,
it.
Jonah
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
That Jay guy,
Yeah.
not Pharaoh,
I have no idea.
but
But I
that
remember hearing about it.
comedian group that runs around together, and then like Rihanna and Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber, and so they got like real celebrities, and they, the guy that plays Kenny, Danny McBride,
Oh.
on Eastbound and Down.
Oh, I've never seen them.
Oh, okay. But you know
I don't
Danny
wa-
McBride, right?
I do know Danny McBride, yes.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of
Comedy.
TV and stuff. I don't watch a lot of TV. And like if we have TV on, it's all background noise and it's all shit, like Family Guy, you know what I mean? Like all stuff we've seen before.
Okay. Yeah, but at the end, when, spoiler alert, when they do all die because this is the end,
Sure.
and they go to heaven, it's
Backstreet Boys.
the Backstreet Boys performing everybody.
well,
And
did
they
you-
all, and the end of it is everybody is doing the dance with them.
It's like Grace and Frankie. Have you seen Grace and Frankie on Netflix?
I know what it is, but I haven't seen
You
it.
need to watch it. It's hilarious. But now I can't even ruin it. But anyways, I guess it's been around for a decade or whatever now. So in the end, Dolly Parton is God. So I would accept that also
Yeah,
as an alternative because that would be pretty sweet.
that would be pretty sweet.
Well, she's like the secretary for heaven or whatever.
That's cool. But
What if that was real?
what if this is not the end?
Right. It's not.
Does the material matter?
No.
Does who's in charge matter?
Yes. And the reason I say that is because the material things don't matter, but who's in charge matters. Do you mean like politically or like God or like Buddha or whatever?
No, I mean like on this earth.
Yeah.
Does who
I mean,
is
sure,
the leader?
because you
like
still don't want to die under a regime. You know what I mean?
right, but
Yeah.
does it? But for that, does when the president dies,
Right.
because and this is not threat. He's gonna die at some point because
Right.
he's human. He's mortal. I know he doesn't think he is, but he's gonna die.
Yeah. No threat there.
No threat there. At some point, he's
We're just
like,
being
dude's
real.
almost 80. He's gonna die.
He is 80, isn't he?
I
Didn't he
think
turn 80 in June or was he 79?
I think he was 79.
Oh.
Because I think he's my mom's age.
Oh, okay.
I think. I don't care when his birthday is. But at some point, his body, his physical body will stop functioning. I mean, technically it already doesn't, but whatever. So to his true self, does it matter to his true self
Right.
that he was the president? When his physical body is done and his
No.
true self moves on,
It might too. I mean, it might. It depends on. I mean, he's obviously not leaving this earth as a good person, so it might at some point. You know what I mean? That might be his true self, and there might be many, many lessons for him on the other side. There might be annihilation on the other side, also because he is such a bad person. So I hold the personal belief that if someone is truly evil inside and out, the universe annihilates them.
like you said, that the mustache man does not exist anymore.
Right. As a yes. Correct. That's what the lady on I don't talk to him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I listen to a lot of psychics and a lot of mediums as guides, not, oh, they pulled a tarot and that's my life. You know what I mean? But as guides, because also I like it to validate me. And so a lady I watch, her specific gift is that she can cross over and talk to people that have crossed over, which is cool. But she went and tried to contact the mustachio, and the universe had told, or whatever power it is,
Spirit
told her that he was no longer there, meaning he had been eliminated from the soul circle of, soul cycles.
Right. I wonder if that happened with Stalin too. I don't know.
I sure hope so. I think maybe the reason that mean or evil people live longer is because the universe is continuously trying to give them a chance to learn the lessons that they're supposed to be learning.
That's right.
Let's talk about that,
And I've said, when I was looking at all these things, and if you do bodhisattva and the bodhicitta, and this idea that as long as I am sentient, I will make it my purpose to work towards the liberation of all sentient beings. And to me, that says I have compassion for all sentient beings.
Right.
And there are people I just cannot have compassion for.
Right.
And my friend therapist said, but what if, can you agree that their souls deserve liberation?
Sorry.
That's okay.
It's Ben. I just want to make sure he's okay.
So if we think about it that way, not that we have compassion for who they are currently or the actions that they're doing, but do they deserve liberation?
Well, as a Scorpio, I can't. No, I don't think so. I don't think they deserve. I think that if it is, it's not a liberation. First of all, if you're a bad person, your death is not a liberation for you. That because we're holding they are holding on to the material things. They're holding on to the existence here because this is where their power is. This is where their money is. This is where their fame is. So people like him and all the others that we are seeing popping up, people like that do not deserve liberation. They deserve to be on the other side if they're chosen to be kept there and kept. And this is my personal belief. You make your own hell when you die. So if you are a bad person, I believe that you have to go and relive your life through the eyes of your victims. And that's how your soul truly learns its lessons. Because how can you learn a lesson if you can't have perspective?
Right.
So that's my personal belief. But as far as death and concrete death is concerned, their material goods, their fame, their fortune, their whatever, their seemingly impervious, yes, that's a word, right?
Impervious is a word.
Yeah, like you can't get through it.
You can't penetrate it.
Right. Impervious sort of, guardianship over them for doing illegal and nasty things. But that's not going to last. That's now.
Right.
And so, no, they don't. They don't. For most, death is liberating. I really hope and I believe that for bad people, it is not. And I'm not saying hell like a Christian hell. I'm saying hell like you literally, like imagine reading these files as you've been reading. Well, I've been reading as little as possible.
Right.
However,
triggering.
It's super triggering. And so just one of those actions, think about reliving it through the eyes of the victim.
Right.
Okay. Like in Little Nicky, when they shove a pineapple up Mustachio's man's ass. That type of vibe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, no, you don't get to
I-
have good times over here. You don't get to.
I have only seen the first couple episodes of the second season of 13 Reasons Why.
I can't.
Yeah. Because I read what happens. I can't. I can't.
Can't do it.
No.
No, it's hard. But for those people, I do not believe that they deserve liberation. I believe that they deserve all the lessons that might liberate them.
Right. Like, I am fascinated by the idea of Mondo.
Like the drink.
No. That's Brondo. No.
No, it is Brondo. But no, I'm talking about, remember Mondos when we were kids? The Mondo drinks, they were like juice boxes.
Oh. No.
We'll Google it.
No, Mondo, like the really disturbing, horrific movies.
Yeah, like Precious.
Well,
Is that what you mean? Like
no,
those?
I mean like a Serbian film,
Oh,
like Faces of Death. Like
yeah.
there's like a iceberg,
Oh, okay.
and it's like goes from like the top and the all the way like Human Centipede, like, and then things that are just even worse than that, like off the grid, like things like August Underground. So, but like I can't. I'm fascinated by reading about them, but I can't watch them because they get into my head,
Right.
and just worm their way in. So, like I can't. But they're yeah, the files and stuff. I can't.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
So I wonder what their true selves are like.
I mean, I think they've shown us.
Like, or is there, if you look at like, is it just their, this is a deep philosophical thought, or quote unquote evil people, are their true selves evil, or is it something that's happened to their physical self in this existence, and they are ignorant of their true selves, and so they're behaving in all these ways that because they are ignorant of their true selves and don't know how to deal.
I think, okay, so possibly, maybe. I mean, I do think that with people like that, there is a lot of cognitive dissonance.
True.
And when, as counselors, we see that people who come into us and are the most unhappy are typically those who have the most cognitive dissonance, meaning that their idea of what should be is not matching the idea of what is. And whether or not that's a problem with them or a problem, like right now, a lot of people have cognitive dissonance about what's happening in our country.
Right.
And
if this isn't it,
right.
if we go on, our true selves go on, what is the goal of keeping the other down?
Right.
And in any case, if this is it or if this isn't it, what's the goal of keeping the other down?
Right.
Because we're all going to die.
All of us. Every last one of us.
And will we care about my children's children if we can't take it with us? And this is truly the end. Or it's not. Like they're, knowing that generations go on and on and on. So yeah, we want to bring up generational wealth and a generational legacy or whatever. But this isn't any of our true selves, our final destination.
Right. I have very little sympathy for people, as you are aware.
I'm very aware.
I have empathy.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yes.
Sympathy, especially for situations where you are choosing to continue to act like that, regardless of what they've experienced in this life with their physical beings, there is no zero and negative number of excuses as to why you are acting like this. A petulant toddler is not how an 80-year-old person should be acting.
Right.
Period. And to crash the entire planet because of one thing is insane. Well, one to us, it's a million to him because he's so important, is insane. And he is choosing to act like that. As therapists, as counselors, we know when we talk to a client, I make the rule, it's okay to feel angry, it's not okay to act angry.
Right.
You choose your reactions.
Yes. I have been telling my daughter that since she was cognitive.
Correct.
You can be mad.
Right.
But you can't hurt other people.
Right. Or destroy things or damage things. And before
scream into a pillow.
Right. And here we go. Here's going to come the people that are like, well, what about the protesters? Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not going to do that because those people are standing up for what's right and what is good in this world. So if they happen to destroy a jail along the way, who cares?
Righteous indignation.
How many people have A, died already because of this, and B, how many people are actually understanding the severity and the when you say, well, you shouldn't be destroying things just because you're angry, to a point, especially an individualized point. If I'm talking to somebody and they throw something at me because they're angry, that's a lot different than if I'm generations and generations and generations of disrespect and feeling constantly put down and constantly stepped on and constantly used and constantly abused. People can only take that for so long.
How long can we be a sad song?
Literally.
Before it's too far gone.
So destroy some buildings.
And buildings don't have feelings.
Buildings do not have feelings. Sure, the owners do, but oh well. They'll
get over it.
Correct. They have insurance.
Right.
I have very little sympathy for anything that's happening right now on our side. And the protests and the destruction. Bro, that's the first time I have seen LA look like that since Rodney King. And that's real life. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. I was watching those videos and I was like, holy shit, good for them. Because how many revolutions started with somebody being quiet? None.
Was it well-behaved women rarely make history?
Bingo. So the point is that with this, when we talk about today and what we are dealing with as a human race in this day and age, and we talk about death, we really are talking about fear and and the fear of what's after. So I helped.
If we go back to obstacle,
right,
the fear of death and clinging to life is an obstacle.
Correct.
That keeps us suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there is such a humility to understanding and appreciating death. And I think that's another thing that people, it's hard for them. They don't want to surrender to death. They don't want to feel like this is my, you know what I mean? Well, this is the end game. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't take advantage of where you're at and what you're doing.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you shouldn't go on the trips and go and meet the people and eat the food and still experience life.
Make the friendship bracelets, take the moment and taste it. 'Cause you're on your own, kid.
Man, so many Taylor Swift lyrics
I know.
are so relevant.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me to say, and I understand that. And it's hard for me to understand sometimes why people are so afraid of death. Because for me, it's been around me my entire life.
Did you have these thoughts before your dad died?
Yes, but only because of my abilities. because I've been surrounded by death since I was little. I mean, my first major loss, I was 9 years old. And that was a major blow to me. And I still struggle. She's actually in a mausoleum in Greenlawn, not the one that Ben's painting, but I go and visit her all the time. Because I still am I'm still in grief over that because I was little. So for me, I think also a lot of people have experienced a lot of grief, and that's another fear for them. Or they haven't experienced it at all, and that's a part of the fear for them.
I was not, and you know what I'm going to talk about. I was not incredibly close to Devin. Mm-hmm. But it's been 4 years, more than 4 years. Mm-hmm. I can't believe it. I cannot delete her calendar from my Outlook.
Right.
It's not there anymore.
Right.
Obviously. But like her name still shows up in my list. Aww. I can't.
She was such a sweet woman too. She really was.
And it was just so. It's the things that are sudden. Like if someone has a long illness and you've been putting in the work and you've done the things and at some point they have come to an acceptance of it and they go. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. But at her age, she wasn't even 40 yet. Mm-hmm. And she was just gone. And she was at work.
And there's a lot more to that story.
Yeah.
We don't want to go into it, but it's very, very, very tragic.
Yes.
The loss. Devin was a coworker of ours. Mm-hmm. And she passed away 4 years ago from sudden cardiac death or something, right? Something
pulmonary
like that.
embolism.
Pulmonary embolism. Okay. And then there's a lot there, but it was a lot. It was a lot for the office. I personally didn't work there anymore when it happened, but I was still touched because I did work with Devin a lot. And the way that it happened was very awful. And something that no office should have to go through, but unfortunately it does happen. I have also had a coworker die in front of me, literally in front of my eyes. And that is hard. And then it's even harder to deal with where you are reeling from it and your administration or however your uppers, your higher ups, watching them just go into business mode or like, okay, put it on Indeed or, whatever. But their position, not even a week later.
Yep.
And it's like, that is humbling. That is the humbling part about death, is that you are working probably for somewhere that doesn't care if you die at your desk.
Right.
And I was also working for a place like that. And that is an unfortunate truth, right. and it sucks, but you grieve always, forever. I'm 41 years old and I still cry when I go to my grandma's grave, to my great grandma's. I have several grandmas that are dead, but
right.
I still cry. And so you grieve your whole life. Grief doesn't go away ever.
My mom is going to be 80 and her mom died in 1986. Mm-hmm. And I was 6. Mm-hmm. And my mother said, to this day, there is not a day that goes by that she does not miss her mom.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And my mom's going to be 80.
Right.
It's been... Sorry.
No, you're fine. This is
my neurodivergent self just went, it's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Oh, that's so funny. This is what we do.
But it's been 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
In April, it will be 40 years that my grandma's been gone. And my mother is still not over it.
It's a so long-term guilt is one of those things, or long-term grief is one of those things that we don't know how to handle until we have to handle it.
Right.
You're doing it every year for the first time, and because every death is different. I have experienced a lot of deaths, not just because I worked in the death industry or work in the death industry, but because I've had a lot of deaths, and each death is different. Each death hits different. Each death, your grief journey will be different because not everybody had the same role in your life, and that's okay too. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we need to look at as humans, as we are living this life, is, are we making an impact to the point where somebody will grieve us? Because grief is the only evidence that you ever loved somebody after they're gone.
Grief is love with nowhere to go.
Correct. So are people going to grieve you? Are people going to grieve the Cheeto in charge? Are they going to grieve him?
Someone might.
Someone might. Not us. Probably not his kids. And
grandkids might. Maybe.
I don't know. His kids might just for show. Because knowing about that family
like
and their
yes,
correct. Come out and smoke and on friggin' what are those things called where you swing back and forth? Yeah, all that. Singing a song. I don't know. But there are people that aren't going to be grieved when they die. Are you going to be one of those people? Is what you need to ask yourself. Be a decent human. I promise there's something after this. What did I tell you that one time? You're a grassroots soul. Don't cover it with AstroTurf. Be a genuine person. There is something after this. There really, really is. I can't prove it. I can't hand it to you, but I promise you, I don't believe in a certain type of God. I don't believe in a certain prophet. But I do believe that we are here to be good people and learn our karmic lessons through our life experiences. And I think that even if you don't know that fully, grasping that, just like people grasp at salvation from religion to go to heaven, we should grasp at the idea that being a good human will give us a good experience. And we are conscious, sentient beings all throughout our existences, even without meat sacks attached.
So there are many, many texts that go into yoga. And yoga is not, I know everyone associates it with Hinduism, but it's not. It, like, one religion or philosophy does not own yoga.
Right.
There's a book that I just finished listening to called Yoga is Embodied Resistance, and it's short, but it opened my eyes to a lot of things, that yoga is not owned by Hindus or Jains or Muslims or anyone that was in that Indus River Valley. It was a collaborative conglomeration of philosophies.
Mm-hmm. And if you read them and hear them, you understand that.
Right.
You know, if you go back and listen to our whole podcast, you'll hear all of that and how it connects. And actually you can hear influences from Christianity, from Buddhism, from Hinduism, you know what I mean? And all of the lessons that is taught.
Like in India, there are multitudes, like there are Indians that were native to India. There are Indians that are descended from Iranian descent. Mm-hmm. The Aryans, and when we think of, it's not like how we think of Aryans, like the Aryan nation. These Aryans came from ancient Iran and the steppe and came into India or the Indus River Valley, and just look it up. There are different shades of people in India, different religions, different philosophies, and that all conglomerates into yogic philosophy. And there's like the Bhagavad Gita is not the only thing. There's the Holy Vedas, there's the Upanishads, there's so many other things. And like the Bible, parts of it contradict itself, but it a lot of it is hymns or conversations based on a story. So it's not exactly telling you what to do or what is right or wrong. It's a narrative. But in the Upanishads, there's a passage that says there's a vast difference between the manifested form and that which is manifested through the form. When we know that, we shall not die with the body. One who clings to the senses and to things that are ephemeral must die many deaths. But that man who knows the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, having severed himself from his physical nature, becomes immortal. Immortality is attained when man transcends his apparent nature and finds that subtle, eternal, and inexhaustible essence which is within him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You really do have to separate yourself in order to come to terms with death. You do. You have to humble yourself a lot.
Right.
And understand that it's okay. It's okay to be afraid of death.
Right.
It's
because
okay
we don't know.
It's okay to have a healthy fear of death, but just don't let it control you, and don't let it stop your planning. Please pre-plan for your family's sake.
Yes.
That's something that I will die on. No pun intended. That is a hill that always, it's very simple. It can be. It can also be very complicated, but please pre-plan. Please.
Because even if you're
all of
get to the point that, I can't take it with me and I'm not this meat sack. I am a soul existing in a body. So I will go on after this. But there's still the reality of humanity and material and tangible and your ancestors and your descendants. Thank you.
Right.
So
I mean, we do.
I'm not going to go out and blow everything I have because I can't take it with me because I got a kid that's going to live after.
Correct.
And
I'm not discouraged. I mean, yoga discourages material stability like that. I don't want to say stability, material foundations.
Right.
Yoga discourages those things. But for our modern, it's also, not 2026 in yoga books. You know what I mean? So in our modern right now society, it's okay to build that generational foundation of money, whether it be wealth or just
because
here's a
when we think about
$50,000 life insurance policy.
When we go back to the very beginning and talk about ahimsa and this idea of non-harm,
right?
You can't harm yourself and you can't harm others. And to totally become an ascetic when you've already been existing in a life that has descendants and people that rely on you, that would be causing harm.
Right.
So if you grew up and you're like, I want to be an ascetic and I want to be a monk and I want to, live a monastic lifestyle. Great.
Yeah.
But if you've already established a life where people rely on you and you rely on you, then you really need to set them up for success after you're gone.
You have to. And a lot of people don't realize that executive planning is so important when you are planning for your will, for your whatever, your house, whatever you have.
Yeah, like my parents have their whole funeral paid for. They have their plots. Here's the other thing, that they have a double decker.
So they're going on top of each other?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
So I didn't understand how it worked. And I said, no offense, but I hope daddy goes first because he'll crush you. And my mom said that's not how it works, because you're encased in your own vault. Like,
that's so
whoever
funny.
goes first goes at bottom, and then they cement it.
Right.
And then whoever goes next goes on top of the cement.
Right. And in case you don't know, vaults go in the ground. Funeral companies is what they are nowadays.
Right.
They're not even funeral homes anymore. They will tell you have to purchase this. You don't. A lot of graveyards and a lot of state regulations require it. So you want to make sure about that and make sure that you're meeting your local, laws. But you don't have to buy all the crazy stuff, guys. You can literally start your own cemetery on your plot of land if you want to. So just don't fall for all the funeral companies and their shticks and their nickel and diming and telling you are required to do stuff when you're not. And
Right.
that's another part of pre-planning, I mean, a lot of people want to be buried. Great. I don't care what happens to me. Just do not embalm me. That's all I care. Just because I don't want to leak into the earth. My dream death is to
Be put in a pod and grow a tree on top of you?
no.
Oh.
You want haunted forests? That's how you get. No, I'm just. My aunt owns like 12 acres or something. I don't know. It might be more than that. It might be less. I don't know. She owns a bunch of land out in Newark, and I've shown you her land. It's beautiful out there. And there's this place that I call the High Point, and it's a hill in her backyard, and it goes up to a high point because it's a hill, and where hills usually end. And over it is like a valley, and it's cool looking. Anyway, and I go there and I smoke weed when I go there, because that's my little meditation spot when I go.
It's literally a high point.
It's literally a high point. And so that's where I go. I meditate when I'm there, and I just love it there. It's so peaceful and so nice. But that's where I want to be buried. I want to be buried at that spot, not necessarily in the middle or anything. That would be weird. But like over to the side, and I want wildflower seeds planted all over me, because I want to forever. And when we talk about immortality and the soul, even if there is nothing, which there is, but even if there is, which there is, I will forever be in our Earth's ecosystem as long as the Earth is around. I will be making honey. I will be seeding. I will be feeding birds. I will be doing all these things that will forever be a part of our ecosystem until this earth is no more. And that's important to me. Mm-hmm. That's very important to me. Now, will my aunt have land? That I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's my ideal. And when we talk about that, we talk about the good death, and that's a whole other thing. I did a whole paper on it, but the good death. And, I think a lot of people also find comfort in the idea that they can plan their deaths, meaning this is how I want to die. For me, it's if I get Alzheimer's, I'm going to use physician-assisted suicide, or medical aid in dying is what it's called now, medical aid in dying. Mm-hmm. That's my plan.
I used to think it was euthanasia, as in young. No.
Oh.
As in young people living in Asia.
Oh.
Youth in Asia. It's kind of like an old man turned and he ate.
Euthanasia. Great.
Youth in Asia.
But that is my.
I said, what does that have to do with people dying?
If I end up getting Alzheimer's, which genetically I am extremely predisposed to, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
I'm going to give it about a year, hang out with my family a little bit, spend some quality time, and then go to sleep. And that's my good death, I think that that's something else that we can take comfort in, is knowing that we can have that option most people don't die sudden tragic deaths, but you know what I mean? That's a potential too. So even if there is nothing, which there is, but even if there isn't,
which there is,
you can still plan to be at peace and plan to have a good death.
Yeah. So if this is not the end of ourselves, self,
no,
what does power matter anyway?
It doesn't. And look at the types of people that have power.
Yeah. And what is real
would you
power?
Want to be? Yeah. And would you want to be one of those people?
Like, is that even real power? Or
It's
is
not,
the real power that I know that I'm going to die, my physical body's going to die, and I don't have to play that game.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote this. I'm going to read it out loud and see what happens. I don't want to die. I am terrified to not exist. And I'm 46 and realizing that I maybe have 30 years left, maybe a little more. And I say, what have I done?
Right. Midlife crisis vibes.
Because I'm tied to that productivity
versus timeline
and
mindset.
Yeah. I don't remember not existing, so I have no way to truly know if my true self will go on. I have to force myself to believe that there's something beyond this. And if and when I believe that, imagine how freeing that will be.
It is very freeing.
Really.
It is.
Stop, step back. And if our true selves never really die in the way a physical body does, if we could do anything and know that we go on, how much more would you say? Would you stop holding your tongue? You don't hold your tongue.
Not very well.
But I do. Would you stop gripping so tightly to material things? How is death stopping you? What would you do if dying didn't matter? If failure didn't matter? If relationships ending or jobs ending didn't matter?
That'd be me. I have it is, death is humbling. And I've said that, I don't know, 50 times today. Especially when you experience it. You know, people, they experience the experiences they have in their life will go with them. Those are the things you take with you. Your experiences. Your money stays. Your legacy stays. Your name stays. But your experiences go with you because you're the only one that has those. So that is what we need to focus on. You need to focus on making this the best life possible for now. And then just work from there. Our lives are so short. Even when they're 100 years old. I picked up a lady who had just turned 100 several months ago. And I looked at her son who was 70 plus years old, you know. And his wife and I were talking about how she had turned 100 and like the city of Groveport. She had lived in Groveport all 100 years of her life. And I thought that was cool because like how much has Groveport changed in 100 years? You know what I'm saying? Like that's neat in itself to stay in one place all 100 years of your life to watch it evolve.
Especially
or devolve.
Groveport.
Yeah, especially or devolve.
Sorry.
So you know what I'm saying? Like I thought that was amazing. And he goes, I'm going to miss her so much. I said, isn't it crazy how you can have 100 years of life and it's still not enough?
Yep.
And we felt that way about Betty White too, like, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, she ain't never gonna die. Here she comes, 100 years, gone. Yep. See you later, Frank.
On New Year's Eve.
On New Year's Eve. Ultimate party. And so we need to grasp and hold on to not material things, but being good people and making sure that our legacy and what we leave behind, even if there's nothing there, which there is, what we leave behind is our immortality. Are we leaving lessons to our children? Just as important as it is to build a foundation for your children as far as like wealth and stuff after you pass away, it is just as important to give them life lessons that they're taking on to the next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that. That is where your immortality lies.
Like, I know about how my grandmother treated a sick bird. She gave him whiskey because she thought it would take his pain away.
Did it? Were you there for that?
No,
because you were only 6, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know that my mother thinks she made the best apple dumpling thing. That she was an excellent baker, and that my mom can't bake to save her life, really. But that my mother thinks that she herself is more adventurous as a cook than my grandmother was.
I mean, that could be true, but
my mother started using bluegrass dusting powder because my grandmother used bluegrass dusting powder. So now whenever I walk somewhere and I get a whiff of it, I think of them.
Then see, that's what I mean. Right. So even though your grandma is gone,
her dentures had such a distinct smell that.
Yeah, dentures are. Oh man.
Yeah.
What? The coolest. Okay, we had a family one time ask for their loved one's eye back because he had a glass eye and they wanted it back. So even if there isn't an other side, which there is, but even if there isn't,
which there is,
your glass eye might stay here.
Right.
There's so the things that we look at as silly or insignificant are going to become so significant after we die. The littlest things. And when you have a major loss, or if you've had a major loss, you understand this. So I have a couple boxes with some stuff with my dad's stuff in it. But one box that I hold very dearly was one that the organ donation loop is what it's called, but that's what we call it on the inside. But the Lifeline of Ohio Organ Donation Program is what it stands for. And they send families memory boxes, like with their loved one to the hospital, like once they send them to the funeral home. Once they harvest, what they do is they give the family like a memory box, and it has like resources in it for like grief, and it has like a little trinket or something in it. Like mine came with like a shawl, like a crocheted shawl. Mine came with one. And so anyway, that is what I have of my dad, not his organs, but the little box. That would be really cool if I had my dad organs. The little box that the organ donation place gave me, it has his keys and his wallet, everything the hospital gave to me the day he died. His keys, his wallet, and like a couple other things. That's all I cherish of my dad's. And the only reason, like, I have some of his clothes, I have some of his like childhood photos and stuff, which is nice. But like those are what I can give to my kids, and right. And they can, I have my grandpa's stuff. He died when my dad was 13. My dad's dad died when my dad was 13. I have his Navy uniform downstairs. I have his wallet. I have one of his little overnight like hygiene bag things with a razor in it from when he was alive in 1968 or 1960, whatever it was.
My grandmother, my dad's mom, wrote each of us, all 10 grandkids, a poem when we were born. I did not know this until like 6 years ago.
Really? That's so neat.
She wrote a poem about me called Karen Sonu. And I did not know this. We, all 10 of us, have a poem. And
I love that.
Yeah. And I did not know this. But this is what I want to end on, because I think it ties back. her husband, my grandfather. He died. He had been running around the track.
Yeah, see, first problem. Okay, go ahead.
Jogging around the track. He lived in Pikeville, Kentucky. He had just moved into his own apartment. He had been living in a cabin at the bottom of the mountain that my aunt, his daughter, lived on. And he had just moved out of there into his own apartment. And he had been running around at the track, and then he was on his way to weightlifting class at the Y. He was 79 years old. So he's coming down.
And this is your mom's dad?
This is my dad's dad.
Oh, your dad's dad. Okay.
Yeah. So he's coming down the mountain. I don't know if you know anything about Pikeville.
I do.
Yeah.
Pikeville.
Pikeville, Kentucky, the county seat of Pike County.
Sure.
In eastern Tennessee, in hard Appalachia country.
Appalachia. Yeah.
Like Tyler Childers is, I don't think he's from Pikeville, but real close to Pikeville. And yeah, I'm from Cincinnati, so I can bring out that Appalachia.
Yeah. My grandpa grew up in Kentucky, so.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I was raised by Appalachian grandparents.
Yep. So he's coming down the mountain. When he comes, sorry.
Going to weightlifting class.
The
spry age of 79.
They were holding weightlifting class for him. And that's how they knew something was wrong, because he didn't show up. Because he had a heart attack and crashed his car into the side of the mountain.
Oh, my God.
So.
When was this?
2002.
Oh, my goodness.
My aunt was looking at his watch when the police came and, giving her his stuff. And
right.
She's like, later she was talking to my other aunt, and she was saying, it was really weird because I have Daddy's watch, and they said he died at like 7:30, but the watch said 8:15. And she picked up the watch while she was on the phone. She's like, and that's weird. Now it says it's 3:30.
Spiritual signs.
And my other aunt says, Mary Jo, it is 3:30. Just because he died doesn't mean his watch died.
But that's a great analogy. That's a wonderful analogy.
So my grandfather's physical mortal body died, but his watch didn't. And his soul didn't.
Right.
His self, his true self, went on just like his watch did.
Right. And you know what's crazy is, like, your ancestors or passed away family members are always around you. They're always, even if you don't believe that, fine, whatever. Don't believe it. I don't care. I believe it or don't. Personally, I do know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Other people who are around me know what I'm talking about. So that's fine. Believe it. Your beliefs are your beliefs, and I'm talking to everybody, not just you personally. But
I know that my mom's mom is with me, and I know that at some point Frank II came through. We have lots of Franks.
We just call everybody Frank here. They're all Frank.
So I know that at one point he came through because my dad's mom was trying to talk to me, and he's like, move aside. You always dominate everything. Let me talk for once. And that was so him.
and that's his true self. And when they come through to mediums, and you know what I mean, even in dreams and stuff, they're going to come through as themselves, as you remember them, because it makes you comfortable. But
it's like, is it interstellar or is it contact?
Interstellar.
Okay.
Well, maybe. I don't.
Where it's like, oh, dad. It's like, I'm not really your dad, but this is how.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Interstellar is when he's like in the other, like, It's about string theory and like in collective universes and stuff like that. It's
What's the one with Jodie Foster? Okay, so
That's
she's
not
not
Interstellar.
Okay,
No.
so that's Contact.
no. Yes. Jodie Foster is in Contact. Yes.
Okay.
But
Sorry to derail you.
no, you're fine. So I don't remember what I was saying, to be honest, but regardless, when they come to me, I see them as people, but I know that's not what they
Are
are
right now.
really. You know what I mean? But they're
Yeah.
going to come through to me so that I can relay the message comfortably to the person that I'm talking to.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, sometimes they don't, and sometimes they don't want to talk. You know, one of my friends who is they're a professional tarot reader, and they're you know, also into, you know, metacognition and all of this other stuff that we are talking about right now. They told me, because I've talked to them before, because when I worked in a funeral home, the dead talked to me a lot, but there were ones that like I just wasn't there with. Like I can't explain it, but it was like just nothing. There's like nothing, just like driving nothing around, and that, not that those people were nothing, but I didn't hear or feel anything. And I told them that, and they said, well, you're not going to talk to every person you meet. Like if you're walking down the street, you're walking past thousands of people that you don't know. Why would you stop and talk to every single person?
True.
So when we're looking for that validation that there is another side, just because you're not seeing it or hearing it or feeling it doesn't mean necessarily that it's not there. It might mean that you need to change your radio station. You need to tune in to a higher vibration. You need to understand that regardless of what you think or believe, the other side is there.
Your true self goes on.
Your true self goes on. And if you're a good person, that's your true immortality. Because there are things your name might not be mentioned necessarily, but in 4 generations, I know that I broke a cycle, and that my great-great-grandkids are going to treat their kids better than my parents treated me.
Yep.
And that's what I focus on.
Yep.
And dying is just something to understand is natural. It happens every day, all the time. There's people dying right now as we speak, all over the world.
Yep.
And again, it's a universal, individualized experience. So grief, we didn't even get into grief. Grief itself is something that everybody goes through, and it's different for everybody.
Yep.
And there's surrender there too. When we talk about surrendering that person.
Trustful surrender. Ishvara Pranadana.
Right. And understanding that surrendering that person to the other side, to the spiritual realm, to heaven, to wherever you wherever you think they're going. I respect all individuals, and I respect all belief systems. Do I believe in them? Not necessarily, but I respect that because I believe there is a form of that for sure. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just a combination of everything. I think that there is a hell, but it's self-created. It's not a fiery pit made by God.
My mother believes that being human is our hell and purgatory.
I mean, let's be real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
hell is like,
let's get real. You know, I mean, like I said, a lot of people don't even like being here, and they see death as, you know,
hell is Ohio.
Corn. But I think that humbling ourselves and understanding that death is constantly standing beside you, and it's not bad. Let's take that negative stigma away from death.
Gehenna is the mouth of hell.
Gehenna is the mouth of hell?
Yeah.
Like where that McDonald's is with the tunnel? Little Turtle Way. Little Turtle Way is the mouth of hell.
So it's spelled differently. It's not G, it's G. It's Gehanna. Gehenna.
Oh, I thought you meant where the old McDonald's is, like when you go under
But
that tunnel.
it's funny that we have a town called Gehenna.
I was really like, Damn.
Because it's literally the mouth of hell.
Gehenna. Poor Gehenna. Sorry, Gehennaites. Gehennaanians.
Hannah.
If you live in Strawberry Farms, I love you.
Strawberry fields forever.
Strawberry Farms forever.
Anywho.
If you're from Gehenna, you know.
Yes. Now that we're on that,
Yeah.
don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
You can't take it with you.
Can't take it with you. You're going to die.
You're gonna die, and your soul goes on. My heart will go on.
And then there's some sort of karmic cycle that happens that is a whole other.
Yep.
But if anybody wants to talk about, like, I love talking about death.
Yes.
So I could honestly just keep going on and on. So if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the.
Yes.
And then we'll
please leave them in the comments. Do not hesitate to respond.
I am not afraid to talk about death.
Yes.
And you shouldn't be either.
Yes.
Not you, but just general you. You understood.
Yes. Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too. This was amazing.
Yes.
Hanging out at my house.
Yep. Catch you on the flip side.
Bye.
Bye.